It was raining in the morning, and I noticed the empty place where my wedding ring should have been. The sound on the kitchen window was soft and steady, like fingers drumming a lullaby. The kettle hummed, and the whole room smelled like ginger tea and last night's clean laundry. On the little ceramic dish by the sink, there was only a pale circle of dust and a faint line where the band had rested for years. That small, naked space looked like a missing tooth in a familiar smile. I checked the bathroom first, the bedroom next, the pocket of the robe I wear when I'm tired. No ring. The front door closed with a quiet click, and my daughter's steps moved carefully across the hall. "Morning, Mom," she called, voice light and thin, the kind of light that bends if you touch it. I wiped my hands on a towel and tried to make my breath sit still inside my chest. She came into the kitchen with damp hair and a jacket she didn't zip. When she pulled the jacket off, a folded slip of paper fell from the pocket and landed at my feet. I picked it up before either of us said a word. The paper was cheap and a little damp. In blue ink, it said, "Diamond ring, platinum band." There was a price. There was a street I knew. There was a line that read, "Redeem by." For a second, everything in the house went quiet, even the rain. I looked up at her face. Her eyes were a little too bright. Her hands trembled in rhythm with the faucet drip. We had been living with small worries for months. Missing bills, locked doors, a late-night cough that sounded like a secret. I had named those worries stress, friends, a bad patch. I had not wanted to use the word that was waiting in the dark. "I'm going to get it back," she said. But the words fell flat on the table between us. The rain started up again, harder, and the kitchen window wore a veil of silver. I set the slip of paper down like it might break. I poured tea for both of us. The steam rose and softened our faces. She reached for the cup and missed the handle, fingers shaking. And I knew, more than the ticket, more than the empty dish, that something had taken her farther from me than any bus or train could go. In that small silence, my heart understood a new truth. I could not save us both. I didn't shout. I didn't beg. I stood in my own kitchen with the smell of tea and rain and the sound of a quiet door still in the air, and I felt a line draw itself across the floor between us. I could love her. I could hope for her, but I would not drown for her. I did not know every step yet, but I knew this. I would have to walk away to keep the part of me that was still alive. When I tell this story, I like to start with the soft parts. It helps me breathe. It reminds me that even a hard life still has warm corners. There were many quiet days in our house. Tea on the stove, the smell of toast in the morning, a little garden by the back door with rosemary and mint that survived more winters than I thought it would. My name is Emma. I have always liked simple things. I work at the clinic front desk. I know the way people's faces look when they're trying to be brave. I know how to speak in a calm voice when I say, "The doctor will see you soon." I wear my wedding ring on my right hand now. I moved it there after Daniel died. He was my husband. He had a laugh that filled a room and hands that were always warm. He left on a winter night, quiet in his sleep. Heart, the doctor said, the kind of word that breaks the same thing it names. Our daughter, Maya, was 12 when Daniel died. She had his dark eyes and my mouth. She used to braid my hair when I was too tired to do it myself. She would bring me wildflowers in a cup and say, "For your desk, Mom." She drew pictures and taped them to the fridge with heart-shaped magnets. Bright houses, tall trees, a sun with long arms reaching for everything. We were close. We had to be. It was just us in the small brick house on Maple Street. I made lists on sticky notes and put them on the fridge. School, lunches, dentist, soccer practice. I learned how to fix a leaky tap from a video and felt proud when it didn't drip anymore. On Sundays, we baked banana bread, cinnamon rolls. Kneading dough with rings on hurts, so I kept a small ceramic dish by the sink. I would slide my ring into it, a silver circle on a white dish, while I worked the dough with both hands. After, I washed it clean and slipped it back on. Warm, familiar. Home. The ring was not grand. The diamond was small and clear. The band had a tiny nick on one side where it had once hit the edge of a sink in a rented apartment. Daniel had saved for it. He picked it because he said it looked like me, simple, strong, not fussy. He proposed on a rainy afternoon under the big maple tree in the park. He was shaking so much he dropped the ring and it landed in a little puddle by his shoe. We both laughed. He cried. He said, "Marry me anyway?" I said yes with my whole chest. After he died, the ring became more than a ring. It was a soft weight that told me I wasn't alone in the kitchen when the kettle hummed. It was a promise I made to myself. Keep going. Keep the house steady. Keep love alive in small ways. I touched it when the world shook. I turned it when I needed to focus. It was my edge of calm. Maya grew up in rooms with clean light and a mother who tried to be two people at once. She was a bright girl, good at math in a way I could never be. She ran like a small deer, long legs flying, ponytail a flag behind her. In high school, she started acting in school plays. She came home with glitter on her face and lines to learn. I sat on the couch and held the script for her while she practiced. "Again?" I would ask. "Again," she would say. We laughed at the same lines. We cried at the last one. Colony was hard. Money was tight. She went to a community college 2 towns over and took the bus. She worked at a coffee shop. She said she didn't mind. "It's a season," she told me. "I'm fine." She met new friends with sharp haircuts and soft smiles. I liked some of them. I didn't like some of them. That's how life is. I told myself she was careful. I told myself she was still my girl who brought me wildflowers in a cup. I noticed small changes first. We all do. That's how it starts. A late night that turns into 2. A missed call that turns into a dozen. A laugh that sounds an inch too high. Her eyes lost their quiet. Her hands were never still. She locked her bedroom door. She lost her keys twice in 1 week and cried about it like a baby. I bought a hook by the door and said, "Hang them here, love." She said, "I will." She didn't. The word I didn't want to say began to sit at the table with us. Drugs. It is a heavy word. It is heavy like a wet coat. It is heavy like a name you do not want to carry. I told myself other stories first. Stress, bad boyfriend, too much coffee. It is human to be gentle with ourselves for as long as we can. It is human to try soft answers before hard ones. That winter, I found a small plastic bag in her coat pocket. It had a white dust inside. Not flour, not sugar. My hands shook. I sat on the edge of my bed and felt the shape of my heart change. I did not storm in. I did not throw anything away. I waited for her to come home. When she did, I held up the little bag without a word. She looked at it. She rolled her eyes. She said, "It's not mine." She said, "It's my friend's." She said, "I was holding it." She said, "You don't trust me." "I do." I said, "I love you. That's why I'm asking." She cried then, the kind of crying that is both pain and performance.
She threw her arms around me and said she was sorry. She said she made a mistake. She said she was tired. She said she would be better. She will be better, she said. Words pressed hard, like she could make them true by force. For a while, things got soft again. She brought flowers home and put them in a jar. She cleaned the fridge and left me a sticky note that said, "For your desk." She ate dinner at the table with me. She looked me in the eye without going past me. I believe in second chances. I believe in third ones too. I am not a person made of stone. I am a mother. I loosened my shoulders and I slept a little deeper. Then the small changes returned. A missing 20, a late bill, a lie told in a tone I knew too well. I called our family doctor and asked for help. We sat in his office, the three of us. He spoke in a calm voice. He talked about support. He talked about counseling. He talked about detox. He said the word we had not let in. He said, addiction. Maya looked at the ceiling. I looked at the floor. The doctor looked at both of us and said, "This is not about shame. It's about care." We tried meetings. She went once, then twice. She came home with a white chip in her pocket and threw it in the junk drawer like a useless coin. She went again and came home angry. Those people are not me. I'm not like that. I put the kettle on and made tea. I said, "You are my girl. You are not a label. And you are not a bad person." She stared at the steam. She stared through it. I made rules to feel safe in my own house. No guests without asking, no locked doors, no money from me in cash. I started buying gift cards for groceries instead. I hid my handbag in the back of the closet. I kept my keys on a chain in my pocket. I learned to count out loud as I did the bills: light, water, phone. My voice was even. My hands were not. I moved my ring dish from the sink to the highest shelf for a while. It felt silly and also serious. But life asks for both sometimes. I wore the ring even when I needed dough, and it pinched. It left a faint line on my finger that made me smile with a strange pride. Look at me, I thought. Look at me keeping hold of what is mine. There were good days. Please hear that. There were soft Sundays where we watched a movie under a blanket and ate toast with jam. There were nights when she came home early and sat at the table with her chin in her hands and told me a joke she had heard at work, and we both laughed at it, even when it wasn't very funny. There were mornings she texted me, "I love you, Mom," for no reason I could see. I held those days close. I put them in a pocket inside my chest. We visited Daniel's grave on his birthday. The grass was damp and the sky kind. We left a small stone on the headstone and a sprig of rosemary from the garden. Maya knelt and touched the stone with her fingertips. "Hi, Dad," she whispered. "We're okay." I watched her mouth form the words and thought, we are almost okay. Maybe almost is a place we can live for a while. But almost can't be home forever. It slips. It slides. It asks for more faith than it returns. The winter gave way to spring, and spring gave way to storms. One stormy week, new friends began to appear. They stood at the gate and called inside. Their eyes were skittish. Their shoulders leaned forward like they...
But almost can't be home forever. It slips. It slides. It asks for more faith than it returns. The winter gave way to spring, and spring gave way to storms. One stormy week, new friends began to appear. They stood at the gate and called inside. Their eyes were skittish. Their shoulders leaned forward like they were walking into the wind, even when the air was still.
I gave them glasses of water and kind smiles and watched them like a guard dog made of tea and soft voice. Maya stopped cooking with me. She stopped bringing flowers. She slept late and woke shaky. She borrowed my scarf without asking and didn't return it. I found it later with a dark stain on one end. We fought in small ways. I do not like to fight, but sometimes you have to push your voice across the table and say no, and not here, and not like this. She would tell me I was mean. She would say I was making it worse. Addiction likes to throw its voice like a bad puppet show and make it sound like the child you raised. The ring stayed on my finger through it all. It stayed like a lighthouse stays. I wiped it with a soft cloth at night, the way I always had. I kissed it once before bed, the way a child kisses a toy. I know it sounds silly. It's okay. Love makes rituals. It keeps us alive. On the morning from the hook, the rain came early. The house was quiet. I put my ring in the dish without thinking because I was only going to rinse a cup. A small thing. A moment. I turned my back to get a towel. The front door made that calm little click it makes. Her steps moved down the hall, soft, careful. When I turned back, the dish was empty. There was a circle of dust where the ring had been. My breath went shallow. My head filled with a sound like a faraway train. In the minute before the pawn ticket fell, I thought of everything at once. The tree in the park where he asked me to marry him. The day we bought the ring dish. The first time Maya held my hand after Daniel died and said, "We will be okay." The way she had been small enough to sit on my lap once and tuck her feet under my legs. The smell of her hair when she was 10. The smell of her hair that morning, damp, sharp, not right. I am not a woman who likes big scenes. I am not a woman who throws plates or breaks glasses. I am a woman who watches the rain and makes tea and uses a calm voice. But I am also a woman who knows when a door closes. I held the pawn ticket and felt that door close with a soft, final sound inside me. "I'm going to get it back," she said, standing in my kitchen with wet hair and eyes that wanted to be believed. "I hear you," I said. "Sit. Drink this. We will talk." The kettle hummed like it always does. The garden pressed its green face against the window. The smell of ginger filled the room. I placed her cup in front of her and watched her hands try to hold it steady. I did not yell. I did not beg. I rested my hand on the table and felt the wood, solid under my palm. A mother can carry many things. A mother cannot carry a grown child across a river that child will not look at. This is the part of the story where I tell you who we were before the flood, so you can understand what the water took and what it could not take. We were a small family with a good laugh. We liked rain and toast and movies with happy endings. We knew how to fix a tap and how to say sorry. We loved a man named Daniel who kept us warm for as long as he could. We loved a girl named Maya who kept bringing light and then lost her way. I wish I could tell you that love was enough to keep the ring on the dish. I wish I could tell you that the word we did not want to say stayed outside because we said please. But life is not a story where wishes make locks. Life is a kitchen on a rainy morning, a pawn ticket on a table, and a mother who learns that love sometimes looks like staying and sometimes looks like letting go. I still believe in soft mornings. I still believe in good bread. I still believe my daughter is more than the worst choice she has made. And I believe this too. You can love someone and decide not to sync with them. A ring is a circle. A door is a line. On that day, I began to understand which one could save me.
We sat at the kitchen table with the pawn ticket between us. The rain made a soft sound on the window. The kettle had stopped humming, and the room held that light, open quiet that happens right after steam fades. I pushed a cup toward her. She wrapped her hands around it and tried to make them still. "I'm going to get it back," she said again, voice low, eyes on the paper, not on me. "I hear you," I said. "We need to talk about more than the ring." I kept my tone warm and steady. I kept my face soft. Love and boundaries can live in the same sentence if you say them slow enough. She looked up then, a flash of the girl I knew, the one who brought me wildflowers in a cup. "I messed up," she said. "I'm sorry. I didn't know what else to do. It's just a loan. I'll fix it." "It isn't a loan," I said gently. "It's a ring your father gave me. It isn't currency. It isn't a bandage. It's a piece of our life. It can't fix what's hurting you." My hands rested on the table, palms down, feeling the smooth wood like a shore. Her eyes filled. She nodded too fast, like she was trying to keep her head above water. "I'll go to a meeting today. I'll call Jess. I'll do anything. Just don't be mad." "I'm not mad. I'm scared. And I'm tired." I took a breath. "We're going to get the ring back. After that, we're going to make a plan." She nodded again. "Okay," she whispered, but the word hung there like a thin thread. I put on my coat and slipped the pawn ticket and my wallet into my bag. The house smelled like ginger tea and the faint lemon from yesterday's cleaning. As I reached for the door, the garden pressed its green face against the window. The rosemary stood steady in the rain. I told myself, be like that, strong, fragrant, rooted. The pawn shop sat on a side street I knew well, from bus rides and groceries, a place I never thought I would visit. A bell over the door made a flat chime when I went in. The air smelled like old paper, metal, and a faint trace of dust that had been swept more times than it could count. Glass cases lined the walls, full of watches that ticked and jewelry that had once been love. The man behind the counter looked up with tired eyes and a clean shirt. He took the ticket from my hand without surprise. "Redeem by tomorrow," he said, scanning the blue ink. "You're just in time." "Is it here?" I asked, voice calm, but my chest gave itself away with a tight squeeze. He nodded. He bent down, moved a tray, lifted a small black box to the counter. He opened it like a person opening a memory. There it was, my ring on a piece of velvet that looked like a night sky. The diamond caught the fluorescent light and threw it back, not like a fireworks show, but like a small, steady star. I put my finger on the band. It was cool and familiar. 1,000 breakfasts, 10,000 small kindnesses. The nick on the side, the one from the old sink, was still there like a tiny scar that tells a long story in one line.
I felt my throat lift and then settle. "How much?" I asked. He told me it was more than the ring it cost when we were young. It was less than a break in a soul. I reached into my bag and took out the envelope I keep for emergencies. Light bills, short months, broken shoe, a bus pass lost on a wet day. The cash felt like a stack of rain in my hand. I counted it out. My fingers were steady. He put the ring in a small paper envelope and then into my palm. He said, "I see a lot of things," he said softly, not unkind. "I hope you're okay." "I will be," I said. It felt good to let the words out into a room that had seen both loss and relief. Outside, the rain had slowed to a mist. I walked home with one hand in my pocket, my fingers curled around the paper envelope like a small bird. When I came inside, the house felt warmer than when I left. Maya stood by the window, her hands in her sleeves like a child. "Did you get it?" she asked. "I did," I said. "I did not pull it out yet. Not yet. Sit with me." We sat. I made fresh tea. I set a plate of toast between us because food is a bridge when words are heavy. "I love you," I said. "That's the first thing. The second thing is this: we can't live like this. It isn't safe for you. It isn't safe for me." She looked down at her hands. Her nails were bitten short. The skin around them was sore and red. "I know," she whispered. "I have some rules," I said, and I pulled a sheet of paper from my bag. I had written them last night after the little bag of white powder in her coat pocket, before I thought about rings or pawn shops. "If you live here, there are conditions. No using in this house. No friends here without asking me. No borrowing money from me. I will help with food, with rides, with appointments. I will help with treatment. I will not help you harm yourself."
Her eyes slid up to mine, glassy and hurt. "So you'll just watch me be miserable?" "I will hold the door open," I said, voice gentle. "I will not push you through it. That's not how doors work." She laughed a tiny, sad laugh. "You and your metaphors." "Humor me," I said, and for a half second, we were ourselves again. She read the paper like it was a menu with food she didn't want. She nodded at some lines. She frowned at others. "Curfew?" she asked, her mouth a straight line. 11, I said. "I need to sleep." "I'm not a child." "You're my child," I said softly, "and you're sick. Sick people need care." She took a breath and let it out hard. "Okay," she said. "I'll try." "I'll help," I said, and I slid a list across the table. Counseling, a group meeting, a doctor who knows how to talk about this without making you feel small. She stared at the list. "I hate this," she said. "I hate it too. And I love you. Both things can be true." For 2 weeks, the house steadied itself. She went to a meeting at the church hall down the block. She came home with pamphlets and a coffee smell. It was weird, but the coffee was good. She went to the doctor and held the little paper bag of vitamins like a lifeline. She did the dishes without being asked. She sent me a text at 10:45. On my way. I slept. Not deep, but deeper. I hid the ring. I did not put it back on the dish by the sink. I put it in a small cloth pouch and tucked it into the sugar canister behind the bag of flour. It felt silly and also smart. Some days I took it out and held it in my palm for a minute, letting it warm there.
Some nights I pressed it to my lips because grief makes rituals, and I am not ashamed. Then the edges began to fray. A text at 2 in the morning and no answer when I replied, a meeting missed, a lie I could smell like smoke. She came home with a new jacket I had not seen before. Where? I asked. Thrift store, she said too fast. I found a burnt spoon in the bathroom wastebasket, as if the bathroom had decided it was supposed to be a place for clean water. I picked it up with the edges of a paper towel. I put it in a bag. I sat on the edge of the tub and looked at the tiles. That night, I went to a family support meeting in the basement of a church that smelled like old coffee and fresh hope. The chairs were metal and cold. People sat in a circle with hands wrapped around paper cups. They spoke in low voices, careful and brave. They said, "You didn't cause it." They said, "You can't control it." They said, "You can't cure it." They said, "You can contribute to your own health." I did not speak. I listened. I cried 2 quiet tears and wiped them with the back of my hand. A woman with gray hair and kind eyes pressed a small paper into my palm when we stood to leave. It had a simple line printed on it, "Let go with love." I folded it into my wallet next to a photo of Daniel in a red scarf. When I got home, the house was dark. The door closed with that soft click that used to make me feel safe and now made me listen. The garden stood silent, the kind of quiet that makes you feel like sound might shatter if you move too fast. I made tea and sat with my hands around the cup. I counted the lines in the wood grain of the table and listened to the house breathe. I put the ring and the cloth pouch in my palm. I felt the cool metal warm with my warmth. "Help me," I whispered in the empty kitchen. Not to God exactly, not to Daniel, not to anyone who could answer with a voice, but to the truth itself. There were small, bright spots. She came home with a bag of groceries once, bread, eggs, a lemon, and set them on the counter with a shy smile. "I wanted to help," she said. We made toast with butter and lemon zest and ate it standing at the counter. Another day, she cleaned the bathroom and left a note on the mirror that said, "Sorry for your spoon." Small steps, small light. I changed the Wi-Fi password and wrote it on the fridge. "Ask me," I told her. Small things like this keep me steady. She rolled her eyes but came to me later with a soft voice. "Can I have it?" she asked. "You just did," I said, and wrote it on her hand like a silly love note. New friends still knocked sometimes. I opened the door a crack and spoke softly through it. "Not today," I said. "She's not seen anyone." A tall boy with a hollow face looked past me with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "We're just returning a book," he lied. "I'll take it," I said. He handed me nothing and walked away. I made soup on days that felt gray. I chopped onions and carrots slowly. I let the smell fill the house like a way of saying, we are not a lost cause yet. I poured soup into bowls and left one on the table with a slice of bread, even when she wasn't home. Sometimes she'd come in late and lift the spoon and eat in the dim light with her back to me. Sometimes the bowl went cold. The mail brought small storms. A bill with a late fee I didn't expect. A letter from the bank asking about an overdraft I didn't make. I called and waited on hold with soft music in my ear, my shoulders sore from holding the phone. "We see a new card ending in the woman on the line said. "Did you open this?" "No," I said, and my voice was careful in a way that made her kinder. We fixed it. We changed passwords. I wrote new ones on small slips of paper and put them in a jar on the top shelf that only I could reach. One afternoon, I found my grandmother's small locket in the bottom of Maya's backpack, wrapped in tissue like a secret. I stood in the bedroom doorway holding it. "This is not yours to carry," I said gently when she came in. "I was going to wear it," she said. The lie came too quickly. "To where?" I asked. "Nowhere," she said. "You don't wear it." "I do," I said, and I put it on right there, the chain cool against my skin. I watched her eyes move in the way a hungry mind moves. I locked the locket in the little box with my passport and a folded note that said, "You are not alone." We tried to get her into a detox program. The clinic had a list with names and numbers. The nurse spoke softly. "We can put her on the list," she said. "It could be a few days. A few days is a long time when your hands are shaking." It rained those days. The house smelled like damp wool and tea. She slept, or said she did. She went out and came back. She stared at the ceiling. She stared past me. Each night I told her, "I love you. I am here. I will not give you cash." Each night she nodded and turned away. One evening, I heard a soft rustle in my room. I walked in and found her at my dresser, the top drawer open. She jumped like I had caught her stealing apples from a neighbor's tree. "I was looking for a scarf," she said. "The scarves are in the hall." She stared at the open drawer. My ring pouch was not on top where I had left it last week. I felt a cold rush through my body, the kind that starts at your throat and moves to your hands. I opened the next drawer. I lifted 2 folded shirts. The pouch lay there, moved, but still there. My breath came back in one piece. "I can't do this," I said, and my voice broke a little, not on purpose. "I can't live like I am the bank and the police and the doctor and the mother all at once. I am only the mother." I closed the drawer softly. The wood made a low sound like a sigh. She sank onto the edge of the bed and put her head in her hands. "I'm sorry," she said. "I don't know why I do this." "I do," I said. "You're sick." I sat next to her, not too close. "You need help I cannot give. I can hold your hand while you walk into it. I cannot walk for you." We tried again. Another meeting, another doctor. A morning when she woke shaking and said, "Okay, today." I called the clinic. They had a bed. "Come now," they said. We drove through rain that came down in straight lines like a curtain you could lift up if you were strong enough. She sat with her arms wrapped around herself. I turned the heat up. The car smelled like damp wool and gum. At the clinic, a nurse with tired eyes smiled at us like she knew we were both doing something hard. Paperwork, a bracelet with her name on it, a bed in a white room with a window that looked over a small garden with a bench and a brave rose trying to bloom out of season. 3 days, the nurse said, maybe 5. I kissed Maya's forehead. "I love you," I said. "Call me if you want to hear my voice." "I will," she said. The nurse closed the door with a quiet click, and I stood in a hallway that smelled like lemon and something bitter. I walked out into the rain and sat in my car and put my forehead on the steering wheel and cried a clean, short cry. Then I drove home, made tea, and stood by the window while the garden breathed. She stayed 3 days. On the 4th, she left against advice. A call came. "She signed out," the nurse said. "We wish we could keep them." I stood in my kitchen, hand on the counter, and watched the rain go from gray to silver. The house was so quiet, I could hear the tick of the little clock by the stove. I set my phone on the table and waited. She came home hours later, her face pale and eyes big, a little girl and a stranger all at once. "I couldn't stay," she said. "It smelled like bleach. The bed was like a rock. The lady next to me cried all night." "I know," I said. "Hard is hard. Hard doesn't mean wrong." I gave her soup. I gave her an open door to sit in the kitchen and breathe. I did not give her cash. I stood on my side of a line I had drawn for both of us. The days tightened. She came and went. She slept late, then not at all. She lost weight. She laughed with a sharp edge and then cried over small things like a spoon clinking against a cup. I kept making soup. I kept going to work at the clinic, smiling at people who were trying to be brave. I kept going to the family meeting in the church basement. They kept saying, "Let go with love." And on the 5th week, I said it out loud with them, the words tasting like salt and honey. The mail brought a small hard envelope with my name typed on it and a credit card inside that I had not asked for. I called the bank. "It was opened online," the woman said. "We can close it." My voice stayed calm. My hands did not. I pressed my palm against my chest when we hung up and told my heart, "Stay steady." One night, late, I awoke to the sound of the back door. It closed with a soft click. The garden held its breath. I slipped on my robe and walked down the hall. The kitchen smelled like damp air and something sour. A boy I did not know stood by the sink with his hand on a drawer. He froze when he saw me. He was young and old at the same time, the way people look when sleep and hunger have been replaced by something else. "Out," I said. Not angry, not afraid, just a door closing in a voice. "This is my house. Leave now." He lifted his hands like I had a badge I was about to show him. "I'm not," he began. "Out," I said again, and I opened the back door. The night air moved into the room. He slipped past me like a quick shadow. The door closed with a soft click. The rosemary brushed the glass. Maya was in the hall, eyes wild, voice small. "He's a friend," she said. "He was just—" "No," I said, and that word felt like a plate I set on the table with care. "Not here." "Why do you hate everyone I know?" she asked, and the words were a tired script we had both learned against our will. "I don't. I love you. I will not love the thing hurting you." She went to her room and slammed the door, the sound loud in a house that has learned to be quiet. I stood in the kitchen with my hand on the counter and counted to 10, then to 20. I put the kettle on. I watched the steam curl like a little ghost and then vanish. I started a small notebook like the one I keep at work. I wrote dates and times. I wrote, came home 2 a.m., shaky. I wrote, meeting Monday, left after 20 minutes. I wrote, soup eaten. I wrote, held my hand. I wrote, back door, boy. I wrote, facts, so I wouldn't write only feelings. I knew feelings could make the day too loud inside my head. I made a plan. I wrote it on a clean piece of paper in neat lines. I titled it, A Door. It said, if you live here, you go to treatment, real treatment, not just 3 days. You do not bring people into this house. You do not ask me for cash. If you choose not to do these things, you must leave. Not because I do not love you, but because I do. I folded the paper and put it under the little jar of rosemary I keep by the stove. I would show it to her when the house was soft and her eyes were a little quiet. I practiced the words out loud in the empty kitchen so my voice would not shake. I would say, I am not leaving you. I am stepping out of your way.
On the 3rd day, a letter came with my name and her name together on the top of a bill I did not recognize.
A phone call followed, a voice asking me to confirm an appointment I had not made. My chest made that small, tight shape again. I went to my room and opened the drawer. The ring pouch was where I had left it. I touched it like you touch a small animal to be sure it is still breathing. I took it out and slipped the ring onto my finger. It fit in a way that made my hand look like itself. I set the table that evening. 2 plates, 2 cups, bread, a little dish of butter. I lit a candle because I wanted the room to remember softness even when we were about to do something hard. The garden outside leaned its green shoulder against the window. The rain had left. The air was clear. When she came in, her face was different. Not bad, not good, just different. Tired in a way that made me think of early mornings at the clinic when people haven't slept but still show up. She looked at the candle and made a small sound in her throat, like a laugh that had lost its footing. "What's this?" she asked. "A talk," I said. "Sit with me." She sat. I poured tea. We didn't drink it. Steam rose and then vanished. The candle bent a little and then stood back up, the way small flames do when they remember their work. "I have a plan," I said, and I slid the folded paper across the table. "It's a door. It's not a trap. It's not a trick. It's a door because you can choose to walk through it." She looked at the paper. She did not touch it. She looked at me. Her face flickered. Anger, fear, hope, a flash of the little girl who taped pictures to the fridge with heart-shaped magnets. "You're going to kick me out," she said, the words flat like a plate that has been dropped and glued back together. "I'm going to let you choose," I said. "If you want to live here, you go to treatment for real, long enough to be safe. You let me help you find it. You let me help you stick to it. You don't bring drugs into this house. You don't bring people who sell them or use them here. You don't ask me for money. You can ask me for soup. You can ask me for a ride. You can ask me to sit with you while you cry. You can ask me to read you the pamphlet again. I will do all of that, but not cash, not lies, not the things that hurt you." "And if I say no?" she asked, voice small. "Then you can't live here," I said. "I will help you find a bed somewhere safe for a night or 2. I will pack a bag with warm clothes. I will call the clinic and make another appointment. I will not lock the door on your face if you come to show me your plan. I will not keep you like this." My voice held steady because I had practiced when the house was empty and because it was the truth. She looked at the paper for a long time. The candle flickered and then calmed. Outside, a car door closed softly on the street. A dog barked twice and stopped. The garden leaned into the window as if it had ears. "I need money," she said finally, "just for a few days. I will buy food. I will buy a bus pass. I will not give you cash." She stood so fast her chair made a sound against the floor. "You don't care," she said. But even in her anger, the sentence didn't have the shape of truth. It fell between us and lay there, not heavy, not light, just wrong. "I care more than I can say, so much that I will stand here and hold this line." She walked down the hall and slammed the door. The candle bent in the draft and then stood back up. I sat at the table with my hands around my cup until the tea went cool. I picked up the paper and folded it back along the crease. I put it under the little jar of rosemary. I blew out the candle. The room smelled like smoke for a second and then like nothing at all. The next morning, I woke before the light was fully up. The house was quiet. The door was closed. The ring sat on my finger. I went to the kitchen. I put on the kettle. I opened the sugar canister. I put the ring back in the cloth pouch and tucked it into the flower again. I felt silly. I felt wise. I felt like a woman learning to take care of what is hers. At work, I made appointments. I took calls. I smiled at a man who was trembling when he set his insurance card on the desk. "You're okay," I told him. "We've got you." I held his eyes for a second longer than a stranger might. He nodded, grateful, and sat down with a sigh. On my lunch break, I walked outside and sat on a low wall. The air smelled like rain leaving. I held my phone in both hands and typed a short message to my sister. "Pray for us." She sent back a heart and a picture of her cat wrapped up in a blanket like a burrito. It made me laugh. I needed that small sound in my chest to shake things loose. When I got home, the kitchen felt off. Not messy, not wrong, just off, like someone had moved a picture straight by a half-inch. The sugar canister's lid sat slightly crooked. I lifted it. The bag of flour looked pressed. My fingers went cold. I slid my hand under the bag and then deeper. The cloth pouch was gone. I stood very still. The house held its breath. I looked at the window. The garden looked back at me, steady and green. I didn't move for a long minute. Then I sat at the table and placed my hands flat on the wood like I had when I held the pawn ticket. My hands were empty, but they did not shake. I waited for her to come home. The kettle hummed its familiar song. The door clicked. Her steps in the hall were careful, like a person walking across ice they know is thin. She stepped into the kitchen and stopped. Her face went to the canister. She saw me see the canister. We both stood in a very small space where nothing rose. "Where is it?" I asked. My voice didn't break. It didn't bend. It was a straight line drawn with a pencil on a white page. She opened her mouth and then closed it. She looked very young for 1 second, then older than me the next. "You're going to get it back," she said. I took a breath. The air moved into me and out again. Somewhere far away, a train made a low sound like a long sigh. The garden stood steady, the rosemary simple and green and sure. I lifted my eyes to her face. I held them there. This was the moment before the moment, the breath before the storm, the quiet cover before the truth steps into the room and takes its seat. I knew that whatever she said next would be the hinge the rest of my life would swing on. The floor felt steady under my feet. My heart was not.
She stood in the doorway, damp hair sticking to her cheek, eyes too bright for morning. The sugar canister sat on the counter with its lid a little crooked, the way a hat sits on a head that ran in the rain. We looked at each other and then at the canister, like two people staring at a closed book they both knew by heart. "Where is it?" I asked. My voice was even. It didn't crack. It didn't rise. It walked across the room and sat in a chair. "I'm going to get it back," she said. It came fast, the way a reflex comes when a doctor taps your knee. "I need the truth," I said. "Not a plan, not a promise, not a later. Where is my ring?" She swallowed. Her throat moved. She stared at the canister as if it could answer for her. Then she looked at me with that quick flicker of the girl I knew and also someone I did not know. "She sold it," she said, the words small and plain and heavy. My hand found the back of the chair and held on. The house stayed quiet on purpose, like it knew how much noise lives inside a single sentence. I let the truth settle in the room with us. I did not throw it out. I did not rush to smooth it down.
Where? I asked. Which shop? Not a shop, she said, and for a second her voice was a child's. A guy. He's clean. It's fine. I'll get it back. I just need... I held up my hand. Stop, I said, and I didn't have to say it loud for it to be a full stop. Listen to me. You took the ring your father gave me. You took it from where I hid it in our kitchen. You sold it for drug money. She flinched at the word drug like it was a slap. Addiction hates to be called by its name. It prefers fog and whisper. I needed to feel okay, she said, tears sudden in her eyes. Just for a minute. It was a minute. I'm sorry. I hate myself. Please don't hate me. I don't hate you, I said. I love you. I also won't pretend that what you did wasn't harm. I pointed to the table. Sit down. We sat. The kettle began a low song and then quieted. The garden pressed its green face to the window. The rosemary stood like a small soldier, simple and true. I want you to hear me, I said, and I waited until her eyes found mine and stayed there. This is the moment, the hinge, the day we will both remember later. I am not asking you to say sorry again. I am asking you to choose. Choose what? Her voice shook. Her fingers picked at a corner of the table where the finish is worn soft from years of elbows and cards drawn in colored pencil. Choose a door, I said. I wrote them down because I want to be careful with my words. I slid a folded paper from under the rosemary jar and placed it between us. She didn't reach for it. I did not mind. I read. Door 1, I said. Today we go to treatment. Not 3 days, longer, 30 at least, 90 if they have it. We go now. I will drive you. I will call work. I will pack a bag with the soft blanket you like and the lemon soap that smells like a clean day. I will sit with you while you sign papers. I will come to family sessions and learn what I need to learn. When you come home, it will be after you do the work. It will be to a house that is quiet. You will not bring people here who use. You will not bring drugs into my kitchen. You will not ask me for cash. You will ask me for soup and a ride and a hand to hold. I will give you those. I let the words breathe. I watched them stand up and look around the room. Then I went on. Door 2, I said. You say no to treatment. You say you can't. You say later. You say not like that. You say, I'm going to get it back. If you choose that door, I will not live with you. I cannot live with you. I will leave this house. I will take my soft things and my papers and the few pieces of our history that cannot be replaced. I will change the bank accounts. I will keep the door locked. I will answer the phone on Sundays if you want to talk about treatment. I will not answer if you want cash or a place to crash. I will love you. I will pray for you. I will walk away from the part of this that is killing both of us. She stared at the paper as if it could climb off the table and carry itself away. Tears slipped down her face in quiet lines. She wiped them with the heel of her hand, the way she did when she was 12 and had scraped her knee. You're choosing a ring over me, she said. But the sentence did not know how to stand up in that room. I'm choosing to live. I'm choosing to be your mother in a way that could keep you alive. That means I stop being your dealer, your bank, your place to hide. That means I stop being the floor you drop all your weight on and expect not to crack. I cannot save you like this. I can only stand where the light is and hold a door. She pressed her palms into her eyes like she could push tears back into her head. I hate you, she whispered. And the words hurt less than you might think because I knew who was speaking, not my daughter, the thing that had climbed into her life and was wearing it like a coat. I know, I said. You can hate me. You can choose either door and still be my child, but you have to choose. On the third day, a letter came with my name and her name together on the top of a bill I did not recognize. A phone call followed, a voice asking me to confirm an appointment I had not made. My chest made that small, tight shape again. I went to my room and opened the drawer. The ring pouch was where I had left it. I touched it like you touch a small animal to be sure it is still breathing. I took it out and slipped the ring onto my finger. It fit in a way that made my hand look like itself. I set the table that evening. 2 plates, 2 cups, bread, a little dish of butter. I lit a candle because I wanted the room to remember softness even when we were about to do something hard. The garden outside leaned its green shoulder against the window. The rain had left. The air was clear. When she came in, her face was different. Not bad, not good, just different. Tired in a way that made me think of early mornings at the clinic when people haven't slept but still show up. She looked at the candle and made a small sound in her throat, like a laugh that had lost its footing. "What's this?" she asked. "A talk," I said. "Sit with me." She sat. I poured tea. We didn't drink it. Steam rose and then vanished. The candle bent a little and then stood back up, the way small flames do when they remember their work. "I have a plan," I said, and I slid the folded paper across the table. "It's a door. It's not a trap. It's not a trick. It's a door because you can choose to walk through it." She looked at the paper. She did not touch it. She looked at me. Her face flickered. Anger, fear, hope, a flash of the little girl who taped pictures to the fridge with heart-shaped magnets. "You're going to kick me out," she said, the words flat like a plate that has been dropped and glued back together. "I'm going to let you choose," I said. "If you want to live here, you go to treatment for real, long enough to be safe. You let me help you find it. You let me help you stick to it. You don't bring drugs into this house. You don't bring people who sell them or use them here. You don't ask me for money. You can ask me for soup. You can ask me for a ride. You can ask me to sit with you while you cry. You can ask me to read you the pamphlet again. I will do all of that, but not cash, not lies, not the things that hurt you." "And if I say no?" she asked, voice small. "Then you can't live here," I said. "I will help you find a bed somewhere safe for a night or 2. I will pack a bag with warm clothes. I will call the clinic and make another appointment. I will not lock the door on your face if you come to show me your plan. I will not keep you like this." My voice held steady because I had practiced when the house was empty and because it was the truth. She looked at the paper for a long time. The candle flickered and then calmed. Outside, a car door closed softly on the street. A dog barked twice and stopped. The garden leaned into the window as if it had ears. "I need money," she said finally, "just for a few days. I will buy food. I will buy a bus pass. I will not give you cash." She stood so fast her chair made a sound against the floor. "You don't care," she said. But even in her anger, the sentence didn't have the shape of truth. It fell between us and lay there, not heavy, not light, just wrong. I care more than I can say, so much that I will stand here and hold this line. She walked down the hall and slammed the door. The candle bent in the draft and then stood back up. I sat at the table with my hands around my cup until the tea went cool. I picked up the paper and folded it back along the crease. I put it under the little jar of rosemary. I blew out the candle. The room smelled like smoke for a second, and then like nothing at all. The next morning, I woke before the light was fully up. The house was quiet. The door was closed. The ring sat on my finger. I went to the kitchen. I put on the kettle. I opened the sugar canister. I put the ring back in the cloth pouch and tucked it into the flower again. I felt silly. I felt wise. I felt like a woman learning to take care of what is hers. At work, I made appointments. I took calls. I smiled at a man who was trembling when he set his insurance card on the desk. "You're okay," I told him. "We've got you." I held his eyes for a second longer than a stranger might. He nodded, grateful, and sat down with a sigh. On my lunch break, I walked outside and sat on a low wall. The air smelled like rain leaving. I held my phone in both hands and typed a short message to my sister. "Pray for us." She sent back a heart and a picture of her cat wrapped up in a blanket like a burrito. It made me laugh. I needed that small sound in my chest to shake things loose. When I got home, the kitchen felt off. Not messy, not wrong, just off, like someone had moved a picture straight by a half inch. The sugar canister's lid sat slightly crooked. I lifted it. The bag of flour looked pressed. My fingers went cold. I slid my hand under the bag and then deeper. The cloth pouch was gone. I stood very still. The house held its breath. I looked at the window. The garden looked back at me, steady and green. I didn't move for a long minute. Then I sat at the table and placed my hands flat on the wood like I had when I held the pawn ticket. My hands were empty, but they did not shake. I waited for her to come home. The kettle hummed its familiar song. The door clicked. Her steps in the hall were careful, like a person walking across ice they know is thin. She stepped into the kitchen and stopped. Her face went to the canister. She saw me see the canister. We both stood in a very small space where nothing rose. "Where is it?" I asked. My voice didn't break. It didn't bend. It was a straight line drawn with a pencil on a white page. She opened her mouth and then closed it. She looked very young for 1 second, then older than me the next. "You're going to get it back," she said. I took a breath. The air moved into me and out again. Somewhere far away, a train made a low sound like a long sigh. The garden stood steady, the rosemary simple and green and sure. I lifted my eyes to her face. I held them there. This was the moment before the moment, the breath before the storm, the quiet cover before the truth steps into the room and takes its seat. I knew that whatever she said next would be the hinge the rest of my life would swing on. The floor felt steady under my feet. My heart was not. When I opened the door, the light outside felt like a kind hand on my face. I stepped over the threshold with both feet. I closed the door softly behind me. The new lock slid with a sound that felt like a clean line drawn on a fresh page. I turned the key, then pulled it out and put it in my pocket for the last time. My sister's car pulled up with its familiar little rattle. She got out and wrapped me in her arms. She didn't say, "Are you sure?" She didn't say, "This is so sad." She said, "You're brave," and "Get in." We drove away. The house got small, and then it was a corner, and then a line, and then a memory in the rearview mirror. I watched the sky in front of us, gray and then silver and then a soft blue breaking through. I held the locket at my throat and felt the tiny bump of it against my skin. At her house, the guest room smelled like clean sheets and soap. She had put a little vase with 3 daisies on the dresser. I set my bag down and sat on the edge of the bed. My body felt like a boat that had finally come to shore. I did not feel strong. I felt done holding a wall that was not mine. That evening, my phone buzzed, a number I did not know. I looked at it but did not answer. A message came. "Mom," it said, "I'm sorry. Where are you?" I stared at the words. I could hear the kitchen in my head, the sound of the door, the hush of the garden, the kettle hum. I took a breath. I wrote back, "I love you. I am safe. The note is on the table with numbers for help. I will answer on Sunday at 7. If you want me to take you to treatment before then, I will come. I will not give money." I put the phone face down and listened to the house breathe, this house that was not mine and yet was holding me like a kind pair of hands. I cried then, not like a storm, not like a movie, like rain on a good roof, soft, steady, honest. My sister sat beside me and held my hand. We didn't talk. We didn't make plans. We watched the light change on the wall and the day turn into night. I fell asleep with my hand around the locket and woke up once to the sound of the wind in the trees and thought it was the sea. In the morning, the world looked different, but also the same. Sun through blinds, birds arguing and then agreeing, toast, tea, the smell of butter. I went for a walk and watched a dog chase a leaf like it was the most important job in the world. I wanted to be a person with a leaf job. I wanted things that simple. When I came back, there was a message from a number I knew, the pawn shop. It said, "We had a woman here asking about a ring. Claimed to be you. We didn't give info. Just a heads up." My breath slowed down instead of speeding up. I sent back, "Thank you. Please do the same if she comes again." He wrote, "We will. Be well." Such small words. So kind. That afternoon, I went to the bank. I spoke to a woman with a soft scarf and eyes like someone who knows about storms. We closed a card. We opened a new account. We added a note to my file. "I'm sorry," she said when I gave her a version of our story without extra weight. "You're doing the right thing." I went to the clinic next. I spoke to the nurse. "If she calls," I said, "and says yes, tell me, any hour." The nurse nodded. "We will." I sent one more message to Maya as the sun dropped low. "I love you. I hope you choose door 1. I will be ready." Then I put the phone on the dresser and sat with my hands around a cup of tea and looked out the window at my sister's small yard. A cat walked along the fence like a tightrope and then jumped into the grass. It looked pleased with itself in a quiet way. In the days that followed, there were messages. Some were small, like, "I hate you," and some were big, like, "I'm scared." My replies were the same. "I love you. The note is on the table. Treatment is ready. I will not give money." On Sunday at 7, I answered the phone. "Hi, love," I said. I listened. I said, "I hear you." I did not move the line. I held it like a rope that kept me on shore. A week later, she called at noon. Her voice was flat with tired. "Okay," she said. "Today." My heart moved and then steadied. I said, "I'll be there in 20 minutes. I didn't shout with joy. I didn't hold my breath. I put on my shoes. I picked up my bag. I told my sister I'd be back when I could. At the house, the door still sounded like itself. The garden looked like itself. The note on the table was wrinkled at the corners. The list of numbers was smudged. She stood in the kitchen with a small backpack and the lemon soap on top. She looked like my girl and also like a woman who had walked a long road. We drove to the program down the highway where the fields open and the sky gets big. She stared out the window. I watched the lines on the road. I breathed. We signed papers. We hugged, a short hug, careful but real. I said, "Call me when they let you. I'll come on visiting day." She said, "I know." The nurse took her gently by the elbow and led her down a hall that smelled like lemon and something bitter and hope. I walked to the car. The wind moved across the parking lot. I sat with my hands on the wheel and let the quiet sit with me. I did not go back to live at the old house. I did not move my suitcase back across that threshold. The ring was gone, and that truth would not change. The shape of my life had changed, and I chose to keep it changed. I would visit on Sundays when the light was right. I would water the rosemary for the new person who would live there after I left it for good. I would take my locket and my photo and my blue mug and the dented baking sheet we had used for cinnamon rolls. I would find a small place with a window and a sink and 2 mugs on a shelf, one for me, one for whoever needed tea. The turning was not a single moment. It was a series of soft clicks, like doors closing gently in a long hallway. It began with the ring dish and a pawn ticket. It moved through the sugar canister and a soft no. It became a suitcase and a note under a jar of rosemary. It landed in a new bed with clean sheets and a sister's hand on mine, and a phone that did not own me. It kept turning when I drove my girl to a place where she could learn to live again. I had walked away, not from love, from a house of harm, from a pattern that held us both like a fist. I had walked toward a light I could stand under and call my own. The ring was a circle, the door was a line. I chose the line.
The first week after I left felt like learning to walk in a new pair of shoes. I could still move, I just had to notice each step. My sister's house was small and kind. The guest room window faced a maple tree that held birds like little secrets. In the morning, light came through the blinds in soft stripes. She made tea in a dented kettle that hummed in a lower key than mine. I held the warm mug and breathed. The quiet was not empty anymore. It began to feel like rest. On the third day, I drove to my old house to gather the things that still felt like mine. The door made that same gentle click. The garden looked like it had been holding its breath for me. I unlocked the back gate and clipped stems of rosemary and mint, wrapped them in a damp paper towel, and tucked them into a jar from my sister's kitchen. Inside, I moved room to room with a calm hand. I took the blue mug. I took the dented baking sheet we used for cinnamon rolls. I took the ring dish from the sink and washed it slowly. I dried it with the corner of my shirt. I set it on the table and just looked at it. The pale circle of dust was gone. The dish was only a dish. I decided it could hold other things now. Keys, a sprig of rosemary, a paperclip, things that tether you to the day you're in. I found the little jar of rosemary I kept by the stove, still green, still fragrant. I held it to my nose and let the smell say, "You have roots, even when you move." I left a note for the new person who would live there when the house no longer needed us. The rosemary likes light and a bit of water on Sunday. The drawer sticks sometimes, a little wax helps. This table has held many gentle conversations. I wish you the best ones. The realtor came a week later, a woman with soft hair and shoes that didn't make noise. We walked through the rooms together. She didn't ask for stories, but the house told some anyway. Pencil lines on the doorframe, a mark on the ceiling where a balloon once floated too high and popped. We stood in the kitchen, and she ran her hand along the counter. "It feels like a good house," she said. It was. It can be again. At my sister's, I put fresh sheets on the guest bed on Saturdays like a little ritual, even though it was mine for now. I folded them smooth and thought of Daniel's steady hands and how he used to shake them out with a snap that made dust dance in the light. I wore the locket. I touched it when my mind wandered too far ahead or too far back and needed a gentle tug to the present. I went back to the family meeting in the church basement. The circle was the same, new faces and old. The metal chairs were cold, the coffee was strong, and the air held that raw, kind hope that happens when people tell the truth and no one runs away. The leader read a line that felt like it was written from my mouth. "I will detach with love, not from the person, from the disease." I heard the words and felt them sit in a place under my ribs like a key. I said them with the group and felt my shoulders lower a degree. I also found my own therapist, a woman with calm eyes. Her office smelled like paper, soap, and a hint of lavender. She asked me how I slept. She asked me what I ate. She asked me what I was afraid of losing. I told her about the ring and the dish and the sugar canister and the way the door clicked. I told her about the moment when I chose a door. She said, "You did not abandon your child. You abandoned a role that was killing both of you. Hold that truth when guilt comes to visit." I wrote letters to Maya at the program. Not long ones, little pieces of home. Today, the rosemary was brave in the rain. Your aunt's cat learned to open the screen door and is too proud of himself. I made cinnamon toast and burnt one on purpose because you always liked the almost burnt one. I did not write about bills or fears. I did not write about the ring. I wrote about the small life I was building because I wanted her to remember that a life is made of such things. She wrote back, careful, a little stiff at first, like her hand had forgotten how to form certain shapes. "We won't talk about the past right away. We're learning one day at a time, for real. I hate the morning, and then I like the afternoon. I like the group with the art. I drew a rosemary plant for you. The drawing was simple, little green lines in a jar. I taped it to my sister's fridge and stood in front of it longer than anyone needed to. On visiting day, the program set out folding chairs on a lawn that smelled like cut grass and clean air. Families sat in circles. A man put cookies on a paper plate and said, "Help yourselves," like we were at a picnic. And for a second, we were. When Maya came out, her face surprised me. Not because she was glowing or healed, because she had her own face back, not the mask she had been wearing. Her eyes were tired and clear at the same time. We sat on a bench by a small garden with marigolds and a brave rose. She said, "I'm mad at you." First, not mean, just true. I know, I'm mad too. Not at you, at this. She looked at the rosemary drawing on her lap. She said, "I sold the ring. I can't fix that." Her voice had a new plainness I had missed. I said, "You can't. And I can't fix you." I took a breath. "I forgive you for the ring. Not because it didn't matter, because you matter more." She cried. I did too. We cried like rain on a roof that can hold it. No shouts, no storm, just water where it needed to go. We talked about after, not in big, brave plans, in small, clear ones. She would go to sober living. I would not be her landlord. She would work part-time at a bakery that shared a parking lot with a church. I would keep Sunday at 7 for calls. We would celebrate with soup, not with balloons. We would say no to things that hurt us, even if yes came easier. She asked about the house. She asked, "Are you going back?" She asked, looking toward the place in her mind where the kitchen table lived. "No," I said.
That life is done. I am making a new one. The word surprised me by landing soft. I will visit when you want me to visit where you are. I will make you soup on my stove. I will love you. I will not move the line. After 90 days, she moved into the sober house with a bed that had a quilt and a window that looked at a maple. She sent a photo. The quilt had little blue squares and lines that were not perfectly straight. I loved it immediately. She worked at the bakery and came home smelling like sugar and flour. She called on Sundays. Sometimes she cried, sometimes she laughed, sometimes she said, "I have nothing to say." And I said, "We can sit." Once she asked if I had the ring. It was the only time she said the word. I could hear the wince in her throat. I said, "No, it's gone, love." I held the phone to my cheek and there was a long exhale on her end, and then a small, "okay." I moved into a small apartment near the clinic, second floor, with a window that faced the street where big trees shook their leaves like green hands. The first night, I sat on the floor with a bowl of soup in my blue mug. The room was almost empty and somehow it felt full. Full of the sound of my breath, full of the quiet confidence in my own step, full of the choice I had made and was still making each day, the way you choose to lift a cup to your mouth or plant a rosemary sprig in a new pot. I put the ring dish on the windowsill with 3 smooth stones in it. One from the beach we loved when Maya was 8, one from a river where Daniel taught her to skip stones and laughed every time she did, one from the lot behind the old house, picked up the day I closed the door for the last time and handed the keys to the realtor. The dish looked good that way, not empty, refilled with small, honest things. I planted a rosemary and a lavender in pots on the tiny balcony. The rosemary took easily. The lavender was stubborn, then generous. I learned when to water and when to leave it alone. I sat out there in the early evening and watched the street take a breath. People came home, doors clicked, someone laughed, someone sang badly in a shower somewhere. A cat scolded a bird and lost. It was the kind of music I wanted. Work stayed steady. I knew the gentle faces and the careful steps of people doing hard things. I became even softer with them and stronger with myself. I took a pottery class on a Saturday afternoon at the community center. Clay under my fingers felt like a conversation I had long wanted to have. The teacher said, "Steady pressure with both hands," and I thought, yes, exactly. Some bowls came out wobbly, one came out almost round. I kept them all. Sundays at 7 became a small ceremony. I made tea, I sat by the window, I called or answered. We talked. Sometimes she brought me stories about a woman at the bakery who didn't know how to smile with her eyes and then learned. Sometimes she told me about a group that read poems because someone started crying when a certain one was read. Sometimes she said, "I hate everyone," and I laughed and said, "Even me?" And she said, "No." Always I said I love you, and I'm proud of this day. Not everything was clean. There were hard days. A week when she didn't call. A message from someone who knew someone that said she left early. A voicemail that sounded like hollow wind. I held my line and my breath, and then my prayer, the short kind that fits into a single exhale. Keep her. I texted the same as before. I love you. Treatment is ready when you are. I will not give money. When she came back to the phone, I did not lecture. I said, "I'm here, and door 1 is still open." She whispered, "Okay," the small word that has moved mountains more than once. Months folded. The maple outside my window went from green to gold to bare to brave little buds. I took my mother's quilt out of a cedar chest and put it on my bed. It looked like a good decision. I slept better. Sometimes I woke in the night and listened for a sound that no longer lived in my life. The back door, a late step,